Rincey, and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce. Harold Fry is a retired Englishman who lives in this small English village with his wife, and one day he receives a letter from an old co-worker, Queenie Hennessy. They haven't talked in a really long time. In the letter, she basically just says that she has cancer and she's dying, and she just wanted to write Harold a letter letting him know that this is happening, and she just wanted to write that as a final goodbye. When Harold receives this letter, he's really distraught and really taken aback by what's in here, and then he decides he wants to write a letter back. So he writes a letter and he walks out to the mailbox, which is at the end of the road. But when he gets there, he doesn't really feel like writing the letter, so he keeps walking. He comes across, I think it's supposed to be like a convenience store, and the woman at the cash register mentions how her aunt had cancer and how her aunt stayed alive through the power of positive thinking. So Harold sort of takes this to heart and decides that he wants to go see Queenie Hennessy, and he is going to walk to go see her. He writes a letter basically just saying, "Stay alive, I'm walking to you." He's hoping that through the process of walking that she'll stay alive, because it'll take him weeks upon weeks to be able to walk this distance. Harold doesn't really know what he's doing in the beginning of this book. He just kind of sets off on this journey. He doesn't plan or prepare in any way whatsoever. He literally just starts walking with whatever he had when he went to go put his letter in the post. He's not wearing good shoes, and he's retired, so he's older and he's not really in good shape. But the story isn't really about all of those things. It's more about Harold and the things that have happened in his life so far. It's clear from the beginning of the book that him and his wife have a pretty strained relationship, and they aren't very happy, but you don't know really why. And throughout the course of the story, you start to find out more about his life and his relationship with his wife and his relationship with Queenie and his relationship with those around him, and just the events that have happened in his life and how he's affected by them. This very much is a character-driven book. It's literally just chapters of Harold walking along, and you spend a lot of time in his head as he sort of figures out his life and figures out what went wrong. You also get some chapters from his wife's point of view, and this is kind of important because if you think about it, her husband just left on this mission or on this journey without any discussion or any sort of warning whatsoever. He literally just left her, and she's left sitting in the house, not really sure what to do, where he is, how he's doing. I wasn't really sure in the beginning if I was going to like this book because I wasn't really grasping what was happening in the book. There are a lot of references to things in Harold's life where Harold's sort of having these thoughts about events that have happened, and he thinks about them in really vague ways, so you don't completely understand all the time what he's talking about, and then it's only until later on that you really understand what happened, because he starts to think about things more and pieces start getting put together and you start to really figure out what's going on. And there are a lot of twists and turns in this book. Some of the twists I was able to predict, or I kind of had hunches about at the beginning of the book or towards the beginning of the book, but some of them I had no idea. When I read them, I was just like, oh wow, that really changes how I'm looking at this book and how you look at these characters. And I think that really had a lot to do with why I connected to this book so much. Another thing is that I felt like I could really see a lot of Harold in my own dad, and I was kind of thinking about him a lot when I was reading this book, which kind of made me connect to the characters a lot more. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I think it's a really good character-based story that has you thinking a lot about regrets that you may have in your life, or how everyone sort of has things that they may want to change or wish were different, things like that, but how in the end it's not really about those events necessarily, but how you react to them. And it sort of looks at these two people's lives, and especially Harold's life, and just how he wishes certain things were different, but how he really can't do anything about that now, and it's about moving forward from that and trying to do the best that you can with what you have at that moment. This is a really beautiful book. It made me a little bit teary-eyed, so that should definitely give you a good indication of how much I really connected with it. And I definitely recommend it for anyone who enjoys character-based books. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read this book, or if you're interested in reading this book, or if you have any questions about it. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching. Review on The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry.